All right, let's get started, everybody. Thanks for joining the live session. As y'all know very well, I try to do these live sessions for paid members at least once a day. And sometimes I do them in the market close time for crypto. If a lot has, if a lot of price action has transpired. Um, Today, I definitely want to do a live session here at the New York morning session, just because we had some interesting movement last night, right? First of all, we see BTC made a tiny pop over 39,400. And I told y'all yesterday that if we were able to sustain over this pop, there's a potential long to be taken from basically this retest all the way into 40.7 and then 41.5. I told y'all that I didn't want to take it just because, first of all, I don't know if that retest is going to happen overnight, right? And if it does, I don't know if it's going to be a deep retest or what. For the most part, I knew that retests have been failing, but I had some optimism like, okay, maybe this might actually push up into the night, but I didn't take the trade, and I'm glad I didn't because, as you can see, market completely shot the bed. Basically, it created another deviation right here and then started to break back down. The chop that we've kind of been feeling in the market with a clamping down on volatility is something that we've spoken about before, and in one of our members, Hunter, has also talked about, which is too many sort of things happening in the macro to kind of give markets, the wind in their sails, right? Which I agree. And then Austin, who will actually be coming on to discuss U.S. equity markets, his thoughts on macro and overall thoughts on market. He'll be joining us with Faisal tomorrow after the U.S. market close. And tomorrow is also, remember, the FOMC meeting. Okay, the FOMC meeting is tomorrow right there. I guess they're just projections. I don't know when the meeting is exactly. Now, I find listening to Faisal and Austin, our guests that are going to be coming on tomorrow, because they actually operate their own fund out of the US. Okay. And they have a pretty good grasp on the market. Austin has been trading for almost 3 or 4 decades. Faisal has been trading for almost 5 to 8 years now. So, point is, we get a good grasp from their perspective of what's happening in the bond side and the US equity side, how they are going about their positioning, their read on the market. Okay. So I hope y'all are looking forward to that because I definitely am. But let me give some of my thoughts on the crypto market real quick. We'll cover the broader US equity market and then we'll take questions. Okay. So first thing that I want to talk about is sort of the tightening of, volatility, right? The funneling of volatility generally means that you're going to see contraction before an expansive move. I don't know which way it's going to come. Probably would figure it'd be to the downside just because the market has been trending down for the last 2 or 3 months. Generally, you kind of see, contraction like that leading to a downside move, especially given the fact that we've already retested, this previous area of support, multiple times. Maybe we need to dig a little bit deeper into support. Maybe we take out these stops around 30K and then shoot back up, right? Maybe. I personally think that, in this particular area, we're really, really trying hard to break above this ascending trend line support. Obviously, we're struggling. And the fact that we're struggling right here tells me that many buyers are not motivated, okay? Because if you start seeing multiple trend line breaches like this, right, and now you're starting to float away from that trend line, that's a sign that this trend line itself is getting weaker. These lower highs are a sign of sell pressure coming into the market. And so basically, it's basically a sign that, hey, you got to be careful and you still got to recognize that the market overall is very sell heavy. Really not a whole lot of buyers present, at least not what we're seeing. They might be absorbing the sells, but they're not doing anything with it right now, right? So even if they keep absorbing, maybe the sellers can still win out, push the prices further down, and then the real buyers will create a very hard bottom. I don't know, who knows, around 30,000 or something. Okay. So these are things that I'm currently watching. Now, other than that, I told y'all before that 39,000 is a key sort of clamp in the market right now. We're not able to get above this area. So you can kind of see across the board how that 39.4 marker has sort of reacted to price. Every time we've even popped up above it, we quickly come back down inside 39.4. Even right here, quickly come back inside 39.4, quick pop, breakdown, quick pop, breakdown. And this entire region, in my opinion, is analogous to what happened in the 2018 days. If y'all remember in the 2018 days, right, we created very, very similar structural movement where we went sideways and down for like almost, 3 months, I want to say 3 or 4 months before we eventually gave way to the downside. Personally, I believe that is exactly what we're doing right now. Okay. I think there's a higher probability that we're probably doing that, but that means that you need to start seeing more sideways in this particular area. And at the same time, you generally want to see altcoins start to break down further and further and further. Okay. There are very few altcoins, I want to say, that are actually doing something meaningful. Rune is probably the only one that's kind of just like ripping up day after day. Luna itself is still elevated at the highs, but still like nothing too special. You could kind of see, Luna had this bearish SFP at the high, starting to come back down inside. I don't know, maybe it's creating like a weird sort of head and shoulders or something that's being built out right here. I'm not quite sure. I think if there's any position I would want to take with a slightly tight stop, it would probably be a Luna short, something like this. But that's a pretty deep stop, it's an 18% stop. And that's kind of hoping like, Luna starts to break down, US equities start to break down, BTC starts to break down. Like that's what it would take for Luna to start heading down further. And a couple days back, I had mentioned this thing with, I think Do Kwon and GCR, Gigantic Rebirth, these guys put on a big bet of Luna is going to be under to yesterday's price or 2 days ago, whatever the price was, right? Luna is going to be under that bet. Okay. So 1 year from now, they believe that Luna is probably going to be under $90. And if that's the case, then Do Kwon, who is the founder of Luna, he's going to pay $10 million to GCR. And he made another bet with this guy, Sensei AI God. And that's a $1 million bet. Point is, I become very skeptical of, how would you say, people who are very cocky, like say Do Kwon. Once the market has already clearly shown you it's a bear market in crypto, the probabilities are very, very high that the interest level, the volumes, the price, overall, things will start going down. And I don't think Luna is going to be an exception of that. And so I think personally, this is a pretty solid bet, but it's also kind of a smart bet from Do Kwon because what he's basically kind of signaling to the world is he gets to kind of be the pure sort of player in this market, which is he runs Luna and he could basically will its existence to push higher and make crazy changes to make sure that overall the project succeeds and that he can make $10 million from GCR and prove him wrong, and $1 million from AI God and prove him wrong as well. So the point is that it's a smart bet from Do Kwon's side because, if the prices go up, you kind of get this idea that, never bet against builders and this and that. But if the prices go down, guess what? He will have still kind of made a whole bunch of money by probably hedging his bets or possibly even selling at the highs. And if I'm not mistaken, Do Kwon is already, I think, a billionaire, or he's close to a couple of $100 million. So a $10 million bet here and a $1 million bet there is not that big of a deal, right? So I'm keeping this bet in mind in terms of positioning, because I am on the side that I believe that Luna could actually break down. But then again, 1 year from now, like, I don't know, maybe it breaks down in the next 3 or 6 months, but then it shoots up higher, right? That's one thing I'm concerned about. So I will definitely be keeping that bet in mind. And yeah, we should definitely pay attention to it. How will these bets be enforced? They actually deposited to Kobe's wallet. Okay. You guys remember Kobe? He's let me see here. So as you can see right there, this is I think this is Kobe's. Yeah, see Kobe's Luna bet escrow. So Kobe is going to be sort of administering this bet. Okay. Basically it's like, they're saying that, hey, we both trust Kobe to not run away with the funds, which is obviously Kobe's, well-known person in the space, trusted advisor person in the space. So it is what it is. Anyway, that aside, I thought the bet was interesting. Okay. Now let's dive into the real stuff. What am I doing today? Mostly, I want to kind of look at the markets from just an observation perspective. I've been very reluctant to kind of put on trades because there's really no trades to put on. I mean, what am I supposed to do with the market that shows kind of like clear, signs of weird dispersion in Rune and Luna, but then BTC is just kind of chopping about sideways. And then every headline news kind of either shakes the market up or down, right? So I'm being patient until this FOMC meeting, which is happening tomorrow. Hopefully that kind of clears up the air a little bit more. And then we get better indication of what may happen in the market, whether it's up or down movement. Okay. I read this thread from Adam, which basically he talks about Nansense smart money stablecoin tracker. What he's basically implying in this thread is that he believes that there's possibly more and more people that are going to capitulate into stable coins. And at that particular point, the market may kind of signal a potential bottom. And he believes that that's not the point that we're at right now. Okay. He believes that once more and more people kind of capitulate out of their positions into stable coins, that might be the point where the market really bottoms out. Okay. And then I want to listen to this FTX podcast with the Polygon founder, Sandal. I thought the interesting thing about Polygon for the last several days was the network was supposedly just stopped like completely. And it was stopped for like 8 or 9 days and it was not processing transactions. I don't know what the hell was going on. But point is, it was a pretty scary sort of, it's been kind of weird that things like FTM, an entire ecosystem has been kind of dying out. Solana has been shut down multiple times. Matic now shut down. We've seen bridging issues with Wormhole, with really many assets. And it's kind of giving me a paranoia, or even like Polkadot turned out to be basically a nothing burger this entire cycle. What this makes me realize is like the flush that we need and we probably deserve is probably further down. Just because the things have been so clunky and been breaking the last several months, is making me realize how fragile and how much more work there is to do with some of these assets. And that kind of means that, you may have more significant downside to some of these assets. For Matic, the simple way I look at the market is, a breakdown towards the bottom of the range again around 67, 70 cents is probably the only area I can think of where Matic should potentially bottom. If it breaks that, I mean, it's going back to like 50 cents, 40, 30, I don't know. For things like Atom, once again, like Atom is part of the IBC, the inter-blockchain communication sort of narrative. Basically what it means is, these different blockchains that are communicating and moving value, they need some intermediary, some central blockchain like Atom to ensure that, that communication can happen successfully and seamlessly. And Adam is one of the front runners and, sort of the visionaries of that model. Ren protocol is also kind of something like that, but not as developed as Atom and not as many backers as Atom. But the point is that, even Atom in this particular instance, right, it's already under this KSR level of $30. It's coming dangerously close to this, support line right here, as well as this huge ascending trend line that you see. My overall thought here is that if this thing starts breaking down, first of all, I think it's going to be pretty easy to break this trend line right here. And then, after that, the next big support level is probably around $10 to $12, this little pocket right here. And this SR level comes from way the heck back here in 2019. Support, resistance, multiple points of support right here. So I believe we can come into this trend line at some point. Okay. FTM. Let me check out FTM as well. FTM seems really dead in the water because the devs basically abandoned it. And that was kind of the sign like, okay, something is really, really wrong. So FTM, first of all, broke its, almost a 1 year trend line right here. Okay, this trend line broke it, rejected it, started to sell off. This is really a, sort of the only point that I see in FTM that's worth noting, this $1 SR level. I don't even know if it's going to hold that, because what now this looks like to me is, it looks like it broke it, pushed off. This seems like now a massive distribution in this particular area. And next level on the way down is around 45, 50 cents, which is this big ascending trend line that comes back from March 2020, December 2020, and then, up here coming to meet price in the next month or two. Okay. And that's around 50 cents. But I would figure that you're going to see some bounce out of this $1 area. Okay. Maybe it goes back to $1.20, $1.25. Maybe it goes back to $1.60. Right. I'm really not sure. If the FTM network is actually still doing well and still substantial, in terms of volume, in terms of user activity, I can see it doing well. But it's definitely a big blow to the crypto space to see, some of the core developers kind of leaving the project, especially like the fact that, we're in a bear market. These are like bear market things, right? People just kind of abandoning projects, basically walking out of the project, literally selling the top. So that was, I don't know, it was kind of a good move from the point of the developers, but it sucks for most people who will be hanging on to the FTM bags. Okay. Solana, same thing, as I've spoken about Solana, hammering support right here. Would figure it breaks at some point, maybe flushes down to $48 to $50. Definitely, levels that you want to be keeping in mind. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is, our 5K challenge, right? Obviously, Advantage members have access to this 5K challenge. For those of you who are new, make sure you check out this 5K challenge channel right here. We basically post our thoughts and trades in the market in this particular area. In 2021, just to reiterate, at the beginning of 2021, I started off with $5,000. And I grew that account to, 438% by the end of the year, which was a $26,880, right? But that took about a year. Okay. And, initially, like it wasn't all easy peasy, right? It was a tough start to the account, slow start to the account. The first few weeks, we were just kind of gathering our bearings and stuff. But then we really, really started to get going. 2022 has been slightly different, right? We actually started off the year decent, went up, and then went down quite fast when the market started to break down. And we took the account down to about $3,200, $3,400, as you could see, almost at $3,100 at some point. But slowly after that, we started to grow and grow and grow and grow. And today we currently sit at $5,600. Now, I know that's not a lot from the starting of 5,000, but that's actually a 12% increase overall, right? And that's not bad considering how shitty the market conditions have been. So not every market is going to be easy to trade. Not every market needs to be traded on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So that's the one thing that you guys got to recognize is, as someone who trades this market for basically my life, I have to make sure that I keep in mind what are the risks in the market that I'm recognizing, and do I need to basically, go against these risks and start taking on the positions? And honestly, you really don't. If you don't want to trade one day because the market looks like crap, that's totally fine. No one says and is putting a gun to your head and saying, hey, you got to take a trade today. You got to take a trade, even though you know deep down that the conditions are bad. Okay. So I want you guys to kind of remember that, because I know it's something that we often forget. Okay. We may not be taking as many trades right now, but trust me, there will be a random day or two where you will make a good amount of money, and then you could just chill for another week, maybe another 2 or 3 weeks. That's really how the market should be traded in these conditions. So hence, right now, I am barely putting on positions, right? You guys know very well, I point out like 10 to 15 trades, but I don't take none of them because all of them look like crap. And honestly, all of them kind of pop up and they fizzle out, in less than like 24 hours, So just keep that in mind for those of you who are kind of dealing with the chop. If you're going through anything where you feel like you're in a big drawdown mode on your account, please do feel free to reach out to me. We also have a trading struggles channel right here. And of course, something like noob questions. If you have any questions regarding trading or something that you're struggling with, always feel free to ask. I believe everyone in this community, who's been here long enough, especially everyone that I see in chat right now, they've been in this community for a while and they know exactly the things that they need to do and need not to do in the market, right? So if you're struggling, please do make sure that you ask for help. You share what you're going through. All right. We're all a big family here. No judgment. Okay. Getting back to the market. So S&P 500 popping up a little bit. Same thing kind of happened yesterday, right? I told you all yesterday when I did the live session, I said I would probably figure we pop up early morning and then get sold off by the end of the day. Today might actually be more of like a consolidation day, like a more of an inside day. So maybe we kind of build a little bit of a range like in this high and this low, and basically, take out maybe both sides at some point. But because the FOMC meeting is so close tomorrow, I would not figure we make big moves, starting today. At least I don't think so. So I'm expecting today to be a calm day in US equity markets, and I'm expecting, basically crypto markets to be relatively calm. Now, like I said before, most of the assets that you look at right here in terms of alts, if you really want to go play swing positions, right? Here's an easy way to play a swing position. Okay. If you look at One Harmony, Atom, AVAX, even Solana, Near, a lot of these assets can be shorted with some relatively deep stops. Like, for example, Near. I personally believe that Near is going to hit the bottom of this range at some point. Okay. And that, means that that's a drop from here down about 29-30%. But your stop has to be way the heck up here, around a 20% stop at least, because Near could squeeze up at least another 10 to 15% before it rolls over easily. That has been basically the main formula of altcoins, is like when the market seems very, very heavy, the alts just squeeze up, take out big stops. For example, this particular area, Near looked like it was just going to shit the bed and roll over, but it didn't. It found support, squeezed all the way up right above this high, took out those stops, came back down, once again, took out stops even above this high, and then, kind of put in a double top right here, right? This happens a lot in bear markets. You will often find yourself feeling very, very eager to get into a position when the market is breaking down. Unless you feel like, the market is nowhere close to support, like strong daily support, I would not take that trade. Okay. Because the point is that you want to basically take trades in this market in small size, with the ability to put on deeper stops, or with the ability that if the market pushes up higher, you could still add higher right into key daily resistance points. That's the only way you go about it. Okay. If you start recognizing that the market's starting to break down and you're trying to jump in the middle of that trade to short, you're probably going to size up too heavy and you might just get squeezed out of the market. Okay. So just something to keep in mind. I know it's kind of tough to look at the market every day and you see prices moving up and down 2%, 4%, 5%. And you think, well, why shouldn't I be a part of that? Why shouldn't I make some money, shorting quick for like 2 or 3%, right? It's because it's not a trending market. You will get hunted with your stops. That's just how it is. In bear markets, the markets are often looking for liquidity. And liquidity is basically points at which there are stops on extreme ends. In this particular instance, there might be stops just below this low, maybe even below this low. And there might be stops above this high and above this high. So the market could actually basically range between this high and this low and still be in a large range and take out both sides of those stops. Okay, same goes for other altcoins as well. BTC, the same thing, right? Like yesterday, I told y'all, all the stops were residing above this marker. Guess what? Price took out those stops. And even this consolidation before we broke up, price came down, took out these stops right here. So you got, basically screwed both ways. Whether you were long from here on the way up, you got stopped out, or whether you were, from here down, you were short, you got stopped out that way too. See what I'm saying? So anyway, any questions? Cool. All right, everybody. Like I said, 5K count, we are in capital protection mode. I hope you guys are too. I know you can obviously put on your own trades. I don't provide financial advice, so you're obviously free to do whatever you want. But I encourage you guys to be very careful with your capital, be cautious with your trades, size down, keep your stops tight, be able to take profits whenever you start seeing that, that position is getting nice and profitable, and, secure that bag, right? Secure that chunk of change, okay? Because it will help you later down the line when you eventually get into that bull market mode. All right, that's it. Thanks everybody for joining. Y'all take care. Good luck to you. And I will keep y'all updated through the day. Cheers.